Hello, and thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode of the program Sport Pizza, where you get the absolute best in the ever-exciting world of sport. My name is Brownson, and I want to trust that you have been staying safe in the midst of all the protests happening in Nigeria. And I want to crave indulgence to please be very peaceful as you go about asking for those things that you're putting on the table of the government. All right, there are a lot of things rocking the world of sport. Now, there have been talks about VAR and its effect in football. Now, there are some calls that you expect VAR to call, but sometimes the referee seems to wave it away, and we ask, what is the essence of VAR, if not to check some of these off-the-ball incidents? We'll be discussing that and much more after this break, so don't go away. Welcome back. Now, Stephen Abiodun is on the starting lineup on the show today. Abiodun, good to have you.
Yeah, it's good to be on the show once more. After all that has happened during the week and all the crises here and there, well, there's nothing we can do about that, but thankfully we are still here today.
Definitely, life is all that matters, and we hope that our youth will really keep it safe out there. Now, all right, let's start the show with what's happening in the English Premier League and some of the top leagues in Europe. Now, some years back, the video assistant referee VAR was introduced to football, and lots of people have counted some benefit and also some challenges and dissatisfaction. Now, one of the coaches that started the criticism of this VAR was Tottenham manager Jose Mourinho, as he says that the services has been inconsistent in decision making. Now, last weekend we saw lots of calls by VAR that were very questionable, and some incident that you expect VAR to call back play and take a look. We didn't see all of that happening. Now, there was a particular incident that happened in the game between Manchester United and Chelsea, where Harry Maguire held as Blequeta, where he wanted to head the ball to a point. A lot of people thought that was going to be penalties. We didn't see that. Now, on Saturday also, the first game on Saturday, we saw some VAR controversy that was overlooked. 2 weeks ago, this goalkeeper, Liverpool captain, got injured. Now, they said it was offside, but there was a challenge. VAR did not find it necessary to give Pickford at least a yellow card, a caution for a tackle that have sent Virgil van Dijk out of the season. I mean, with all this in England, it calls to ask if VAR has really done justice to the reason why it was brought into football.
The initial reason why VAR was brought into action was to assist the referee to get the decision right. Before then, there are several decisions that the referee had to take on his own, sometimes confused, and just give decisions. And the sole purpose of bringing the VAR into action here is to assist the referee, to take correct actions in its situation. But for me, I think the inconsistency has been too obvious lately. For example, consider the issue in the match, Chelsea-Man U match, Man U-Chelsea match. If you see that was a clear penalty, Harry Maguire bringing down
Azpilicueta
in the 18-yard box, and the VAR then gave me fit to check on that. But when you check on the reverse, at the reverse side, when Marcus Rashford was tackled, even though there was no evidence,
VAR
checked. So I was surprised when I saw that. I was like, oh, is VAR really doing what it's asked to do? If we also look at the game, the El Clasico game, we can see that Coleman was also complaining about the cause for VAR.
We'll get to Spain, because Spain also have its own issues. Now, also in 2 weeks ago, we saw a situation where Liverpool scored a winning goal in the 90-plus minute, and I've looked at that. I've looked at it over and over and over. And I still don't understand how that was an offside.
That's part of the inconsistency with the VAR. And for me, we call the video assistant referee is for it to play back what has happened, so that the referee can look at it once more and take a good decision. But for me, at some point, it's not really serving that point right now. I think the use of VAR needs to be revised, and probably some measures have to be put in place so that it gives the accurate decision in every match.
Even though the pitch monitor is there, you hardly see a situation where the referee will go and look at those pitch monitors. So it calls for concerns, and I think VAR, one, it slows down the game, it's not helping decision making, and cheap penalties.
decisions has been inconsistent all along from the moment of its inception up to this very moment. We've continued to have the same issue. If we look at it during the World Cup, we had the same issues. But now, even in England, the fact that the pitch monitors are not there is even making the whole thing worse, because during the World Cup, we can say referee going to the monitor to check what happening, revise it and see to check and take the right decision.
Yeah.
But this one in the Premiership, it's not there. So if that's not there, I think we should have somebody telling the referee, oh, this is what it should be. If the monitor are not,
actually,
it's not there.
That's what's been done. The referee relies on the information he gets, but I think some of these decisions would have been different if the referee have a chance to look at it and make his own decisions without being asked.
That would have been the best.
Yeah, hopefully. But let's see how well this will go, because it's really raising lots of controversy. Most likely, they may just want to reconsider the use of VAR sometime soon. That decision becomes inconsistent as it is right now. Now, still in England, two teams who cannot afford to fail this season has to be Manchester City and Chelsea. Now, these both teams accounted for the most amount of money spent in England in the transfer window. Now, while Chelsea is still struggling to put all the arrays of stars they brought together, Manchester City is still yet to get their feet in the Premier League this season. What's happening? Pep Guardiola in his managerial career has had one of the worst starts in over 5 years. That's really sad for Man City. But can Chelsea win the Premier League? Or is he a coach in the line to be sacked? Only time will tell. Now let's move straight to Spain. Now, we saw the biggest game in world football last weekend, the El Clasico. And just like we had in England, we also have complaints from Koeman, that's Barcelona manager, about the use of VAR. Now, he says, Barcelona boss Ronald Koeman says the video assistant referee system seems to be used only to make decisions against FC Barcelona after Sergio Ramos' penalty was awarded, and he says that changed the course of the game. Now, two things. I saw that game. It was an end-to-end game, very interesting. Now, even though I feel that was a penalty, but Koeman feels otherwise.
Yeah, well, it's normal as a coach. When you lost such game, you don't feel comfortable. Sometimes you just want to throw blame games around. Yeah, despite the fact that VAR has been a topic since the season began, and there has been issue about VAR, it's normal. And, for me, I think that was a penalty, irrespective of how Koeman feels or sees it.
There was an infraction. I mean, I felt the defender really held him down.
Koeman was also fighting that. There was a time or two that he felt that they should have their own penalty through VAR, but the VAR never called for that. I guess that's why he was so furious at the end of the game. But irrespective of that, there's nothing he could do at the end of the day.
Now, apart from the fact that Koeman has confidence in young players, what else do you see about the team? Do you think they have the teeth to really bite this season?
Yeah, it's going to be really difficult for Barcelona this season. If we look at things for example, the game that was played over the weekend, Koeman had to bring 3 young players against an experienced Real Madrid. I mean, as much as he loves to use young players, he should also understand the fact that the game against Madrid, which is an El Clasico always, is a game that he needs experienced players to come in. So for me, I think that was his undoing in that match. So probably next time, as much as he wants to use the young players, he needs to also balance out the experience in the team. I understand the fact that Barcelona is probably trying to build their team afresh so that they can last them the next decade also. But even as you are doing that, not even against a team like Real Madrid.
Also looking at the fact that on the same weekend with Suarez,
of course,
got an all-important goal.
And for me, if you ask me, I mean, let's say Luis Suarez was one of their greatest on doing so far.
Yeah, and I think Koeman did not handle most of those situations very well.
Definitely.
And he's going to pay for it all season long.
And the season is just fresh. So let's see how things pan out at the end of the day.
All right, Abiodun, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
You're very much welcome, Brownson.
Olakunle Philip has been warming up on the sideline for a very long time. So let's take a quick break and have our substitution. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Welcome back. Now, Olakunle Philip will be joining me on the front line. We need to score more goals. Kunle, good to have you on the show.
Thank you very much, Brownson Wana. It's great to be here once again to talk sport. I was listening to you, yourself, and Stephen Abiodun on the sideline, and of course, I was really following everything up. I think for me, if you will allow me, I'm not really impressed with what Coleman has done so far with Barcelona. I watched that game, and I think that when you have the opportunity to actually to coach a team like Barcelona, you have a lot to actually put to table. And I think that you are sold most of your top players. You mentioned Luis Suarez, who is nicking in all the goals for Atletico Madrid. And I'm telling you, this might just play a very pivotal role. I really don't see Barcelona. They've started on a very bad note, and I really don't see them coming back into this. You could see Lionel Messi playing with disdain. He's not happy right now. Perhaps they could have allowed him to go, and probably the team will begin to gel on a gradually. But from what I've seen so far, 5 games, 2 wins, 2 losses, and a draw, I think is not the way to go.
It's definitely not the way to go. But report also has it that it's one of the worst starts of Barcelona career in a very, very long time. Now, this week, UEFA Champions League and all European competition is ongoing. And I must tell you that it's absolutely buzzing. Last week, we saw a beautiful game of football played in Europe in UEFA Champions League. And we also saw a beautiful game played in UEFA Europa League. Now, just like we've been talking about the use of VAR in the leagues, Kunle, it seems like it's a different ball game when it gets to Europe. If you monitor the games, you want to say that it looks like the referees or the guys that man the VAR in Europe seems to be more consistent than what we have in the league.
Perhaps I think kudos you go to UEFA for always going out to pick the best of referees for the UEFA games. I think it's been absolutely working. You could see that most of the referees are always on top of their game, and when they have a kind of uncertainty during games, they go out they go with the VAR so that they can get accurate results, which for me has been yielding dividend. It's not the same with what we see in the EPL, and I'm sorry to say there's a lot of things that I think that is absolutely wrong in the English Premier League. You could see some of the referees in the EPL are fans of some of the clubs. You will agree with me. I think look at one of the games. I'm sorry, I'm an Arsenal fan. Then when I saw Arsenal playing against Liverpool in one of the games I played some couple of weeks ago, Arsenal lost a chance, and you could see the sadness. The referee jumped up, and it was like, come on, you shouldn't have lost that. That is not expected from the referee. And some of the referees, if you ask me, are fans of some of the clubs. So these are things that they really have to outwit. The referees must understand. We were talking about the game, the Manchester United versus Chelsea game, the Maguire tackle. I think the referee should have gone for the VAR. He should have gone to check. Some people were calling him, and he refused. These are things that we're talking about from my own perspective, from my own point of view. I think that was a clear penalty.
Yeah, most people have talked about that, and it's sad how VAR seems not to be helping in decision making like we thought.
Absolutely, it's just a referee decision. Most of the time, when they have they are not certain about what the decision to make in the game, they should go back to the VAR and of course watch the clips over and over again before coming up with the decision.
That's what it is, and let's hope that these guys will get that done. Now, quickly before we take another break, we saw history-making Ajax over the weekend having 13-0 bashing of Venlo. It reminds me when Ahmed Musa was playing in the club side. But he of course, he plays for Saudi Arabia. He plays in Saudi Arabia right now. 13-0. I mean, come on.
That was massive.
For a league game.
That was very huge. It looks like when you have probably Manchester United play against a small club in probably the lower second tier or the third tier league.
United cannot even score 13.
As much as 13 goals. We see teams play against
this United cannot score
13. John will not be happy with you. If you ask me, United actually played well against Chelsea. Probably if they were in that mode, they would have scored as many as 13 goals against a smaller team.
Games about winning. If I don't know how a team will play well and cannot win.
Let's not delve into that, Brownson. I think great job by Ajax Amsterdam. They've done very well. They've lost a game so far. I think they've won 3 games or so. They've drew 1 and they've lost 1. They are still in contention, and then they have teams. Some other teams who are actually jostling it out with them. Still early bird, still early to call. Let's not also forget the fact that they have 34 L division titles in their kitty. So no other club comes close. It's really going to be very exciting this season. But then when you talk about the L division, you always want to talk about Ajax of Amsterdam.
Yeah, Ajax Amsterdam, of course, they are a force to reckon with as far as Dutch League is concerned. Now, on the start of Nigerian Professional Football League, which was slated for 15th of November, may suffer a setback due to the protests in the country. Now, after the league took a break because of the coronavirus pandemic, it's still yet to resume. But new date was set 15th of November, but Kunle, it looks like that date just might be shifted again, depending on how things turn out in the country.
I think it might not be shifted, Brownson, if probably the protests and all of that comes to an end as early as possible. Remember that the government has said they are going to adhere to the guidelines, the promises they are going to use to the promises made to the youth. And the Honorable Minister for Youth and Sports is also very much involved in all of this. So I think that probably the league will see the light of the day come November 15, and it will be ending on June 2021. It's really very important that we start the league. We've been talking about it because it has stayed for so long. And again, they have told the league management company has actually tabled their demand. And of course, they've told all the clubs that they must do their normal registration. It is very expedient for them to do that. And at the same time, they have told them that they must adhere to the COVID-19 the directives. Probably they have to put the measures in place to ensure that, you know, they actually adhere to all the guidelines. So it's good. I really want the league to start because really, there's really nothing really going on in the country right now in the area of sports. So we want to see our league, want to watch Ayimba, watch MFM of Lagos State, watch other clubs jostle for honors.
So most likely the leagues will be played behind closed doors, right?
I'm not sure about that. They are not talking about that then. But then, if the COVID-19 directive is anything to go by, then it has to play behind closed doors.
I mean, I'm surprised if churches, mosques, and some social gathering can open. Why can't we have at least 50% capacity to come to the stadium?
I think they should also tilt towards that. There's really, well, if we say this, some people will feel, no, we're actually not saying the right thing. Really, it looks like COVID-19, the rate of, even you can see the daily tests that are being carried out of COVID-19, the number has actually reduced drastically. So why can't we have about 50% capacity, being filled, in our various stadia? I think it would be a good idea.
Definitely should be a very good idea. Now let's move straight to other sports, talking about kickboxing, and one name comes to mind. Khabib Nurmagomedov retires from UFC after beating Justin Gage. Now it was a keenly contested bout, but finally he has called it quits with the sports.
Good one for him. 29 wins with no loss. It was the third time he was defending his title and was really massive. One thing that actually caught my attention towards Khabib was the fact that he had to call his father. He said before the bout, when he was actually told that he was going to fight Justin, he told his mother about it, and the mother said, look, you must carry your father along. Your dad must be there with you. And the dad was there. He told him, Dad, this is my last bout, and once it's done, once I'm able to emerge victorious, I'll be calling it quits. It was an emotional time out for him. Kudos to him. He also told Justin, make sure you have a good relationship with your parents. It will really help you. Probably the good relationship he has had with his parent has really helped his career. Kudos to him. And this is actually a form of encouraging the youth towards actually, doing things right as far as helping their parents is concerned.
That's a very good one indeed. It's a very good legacy for younger ones to learn from having good relationship with your parents. Now let's stick with power sports now to boxing, where Tyson Fury have set December 5th as a date where you'll be fighting a yet to be named opponent in London. I think it's going to be a big bout, even though we don't know who it is. Now we talked about the rematch between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, but I think that bout has to wait till 2021.
Absolutely, the bout has to wait till 2021. Remember the last one, it was a fierce battle. Then Tyson Fury is really ready to actually engage another boxer in a bout. We wait to see how things will pan out. But then, like you said, we don't really know who his opponent will be.
Yes, indeed. And we hope that it's going to be a big name that people will really look forward to. Even though Dillian White is still around the corner, looking like he can also challenge. But he was beaten. I don't know why he still thinks he's had a chance in contesting in this one. We hope you enjoyed that. Now, with that, it's my final whistle on Sport Pizza this week. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Now, for all of you who is yet to follow us on a social media platform, this is an opportunity for you to interact with us right here on all our social media platform currently displaying on your TV screen. And also feel free to drop us a message. We'll be so glad to hear from you. Stephen was here earlier. Thank you very much, Stephen Abiodun, for coming on the show, as well as Olakunle Philip. Thank you so much for being here.
It's always a pleasure to be here, Bronson, and we hope that I hope that we'll do it again together next week.
And to all the youth out there, please, let's stop the destruction. Nigeria, Lagos is our home. If we destroy it, we'll pay for it with money or resources that would have been used to make our future better. Please, from all of us here, please stop the destruction. My name is Bronson Owana. Enjoy the rest of your day.